The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Mike, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Manx Radio. We're open line today, in fact, for the rest of this week. So if something's been playing on your mind, something you'd like to bring to the attention of the nation, by all means, get in touch. Call 66 13 68. You can WhatsApp on 166 177. Same SMS message number, 166 177. Email studio@manxradio.com. So the floor is yours. EasyJet decided to reduce the number of flights it's operating to and from the Isle of Man. And the Minister says it's not a reflection on the airport. Flights between Ronaldsway and Liverpool and Manchester are going to be cut between April and October. We've known this for a while, but apparently it's not the airport's fault. Of course, EasyJet are never going to say exactly why. What they say is responding to public demand. It may be public demand elsewhere, i.e. they need those planes somewhere else and they need them on time, which means they're not kept here overnight because the airport's closed. So we're never going to find that from EasyJet, but what's true is now that we have less of a connection between Liverpool and Manchester. Time to restart Manx Airlines, says 645. Can you imagine that? I think Aurigny, the Channel Islands' own airline, loses. I think it costs them about £7 million a year to run that. It's £140,000 a week, is that? Which is £20,000 a day, basically in a state subsidy. But they have their own planes and they are in control of their routes. I mean, starting Manx Airlines will be a huge task, and whether or not we've got the talent still left on the Isle of Man who were around during Manx Airlines days to actually do that, whether or not they'd want to, whether government would let anybody else do it. The thought of the government running its own airline, I mean, really. A note we're a government and construction Isle of Man approved contractors. We no longer take apprentices on. And the reason for this is government's allowing too many unskilled, unregistered people to work on trades and jobs on government-funded contracts. Until they police these contracts, apprentices will have difficulty getting a placement, says Pat. Now, this has been mentioned before, the fact that the government is allowing unskilled and unregistered people to work on trades jobs on government-funded contracts. Now, is that actually allowed? Is it against the spirit of it, the letter of the contract, Pat? It would be nice to know, and if this is surely government knows about that. Surely they've been told. I used to work for a local welding company who had a couple of apprentices. The college never had courses for welding. Are they realising that computers can't do everything? That's 951. We were talking about it's National Apprentice Week this week, and lots of people, it may be their job of the future, certainly with AI taking all sorts of jobs. AI will never, ever be able to do plumbing work, will it? Somebody's going to have to join those two pipes. I recall somebody saying on your show that their son lost a place because there were no courses. Promoting apprenticeship is fine, but are the courses available at the college? Oh, facial recognition. There's facial recognition, apparently, says 134, if you walk in the door, Ramsay Doctor surgery. Is that true? Or is it just a security camera? Because facial recognition is something else. If anybody wants to steal a picture of my face, it's fine. They won't want to bring it back, says R. We're talking about ANPR, and we got a word from the government because there was a note in to Mannin Line regarding ANPR, automatic number plate recognition, and the fact that it's coming in. Isle of Man, the note came in just to say, Andy, the Isle of Man government will have to pass legislation to make Isle of Man-based insurance companies to complete insurance records on the national database. Until this happens, like they have to in the UK, ANPR won't work here, as why bother with the cost of it to administer the records if it's not legally required? This is why not all people get renewal codes on their car tax forms, as they're not recorded on the national database. Well, we asked the government about this, and they said the Isle of Man is not intending to create a local ANPR database. The constabulary will be accessing the existing UK intelligence database. This shouldn't be confused with the DVLA database used in the UK to scan traffic for untaxed and uninsured vehicles, and has no relation to the vehicle excise licence renewal process. ANPR used by the police here will simply be for intelligence related to the movement of vehicles and involved in various types of crime for the purpose of preventing, detecting and facilitating the prosecution of offences. Basically, these are vehicles, what they call of interest, vehicles of interest from the UK. So at the moment, it looks like they're not interested in scanning number plates for no tax and no insurance on the Isle of Man. This is purely at the ports to stop criminals coming in. So obviously they'll be liaising with other constabularies and other police forces to get the number plates of, bluntly, of criminals' cars. So that will then be flagged up to us. A message in that also said, this was on Monday, maybe you can confirm this, there was a light breeze in the north and the amenity site was closed again, and they're turning off comments on their Facebook page. Maybe they know what to expect. The use of facial recognition is if the bad guys are on record, it won't stop illegal immigrants with records, as they have more rights than locals. And the majority of criminals look like you, me and everybody else. Facial recognition is the first step in a prison state. I don't quite know which side you're on, Desmond. Do you think we should have facial recognition or not? Don't you think it's any good? Or what do you think about it? Some WhatsApps are in. Yes, it is a business decision, but completely attributable, says Julian, to the historic mismanagement of the airport. I think Dr. Hayward is deluded if she thinks most people believe it. It is a commercial decision by EasyJet, but then again, a note in from Taylor. Hello, Taylor, who just said, Taylor's words, we've mucked EasyJet around so much with our air traffic controllers working and not working, and planes turning round from Gatwick and going back or going here, there and everywhere. No wonder they want to go elsewhere. They simply can't trust the Isle of Man airport. It is the airport's fault. Big John in Ramsey that just said, it could be argued that keeping our MHKs is part of our history, so it can be said for keeping the Bishop's vote in Tynwald, but Mr. Hooper and Joni Farrago were very vocal and persistent in removing him from decision-making. I don't think they fully understand the ramifications of this and their actions. They could be described as a loose cannon, says Big John in Ramsey. It's not just aircraft being stuck here overnight that's the problem, says Paul. I've had relatives visiting on several occasions being held in a hold over the sea for 15 or 20 minutes during the day. The captain told passengers it was air traffic control problems. EasyJet simply won't tolerate burning extra fuel and delaying the aircraft unnecessarily. Thank you, Paul. We could never have a Manx Airline, says Wolfie. We could never have a Manx Airline, or indeed any outside startup airline registered in the Isle of Man. Our CAA will not allow an island-based carrier to hold an AOC. That's an Air Operating Certificate. This is why all carriers can't be based on the Isle of Man, and it's why we can't have our own airline, because of the Manx CAA, Civil Aviation Authority. For clarification, we once allowed AOCs when Manx Airlines was operating, but since selling the airline and its landing slots for Heathrow, we're now not allowing any new airlines to be based on the Isle of Man. Confirmation for this can come from our CAA if needed. Well, we'll find that out. Thank you, Wolfie. That's good to hear. So it would seem our CAA would put the mockers on there ever being an airline based on the Isle of Man. EasyJet wastes thousands of pounds worth of jet fuel circling around the Isle of Man waiting to land. So profit on the Isle of Man is being lost on fuel and wages. So the less money-making routes have to go. It would seem we are a less money-making route. The DOI is at fault yet again. Didn't our plane go on to Belfast at one time as well? Or was that Loganair flight? Your caller is correct, says Barry, regarding non-tradespeople working on government contracts and government projects. The only requirement is that the main contractor must be registered with Construction Isle of Man. Beyond that, they're free to employ whoever they choose, with no further checks, no quality control in place, says Barry. That's regarding non-tradespeople on government jobs. Well, what does this say? I mean, surely the government knows about this. What does this say about the quality of work that's being done? And also, what does it say about the education prospects and the skilling up prospects for apprentices? Many years ago, this is 447, many years ago in the building trade, everybody knew who worked for each firm and the tradesman. To do government work, you had to prove your apprenticeship and get a tradesman's card. You simply couldn't work on government jobs without one, says a retired tradesman. It's another nail in the coffin of local businesses, with Isle of Man Bank exiting local estate agency business. Is it the same for other banks, says Andy? I could name a firm of painters that works on government contracts whose workforce aren't time-served tradesmen and get paid cash in hand on a Friday in time. No tax, no stamp paid, and the government's aware of this, but management is under instruction not to stop it. Well, 762, that's against the rules, isn't it? I mean, if that's true, if that's just not skeet or you're pulling my leg, if there's a firm of painters that are working on government contracts whose workforce aren't time-served tradesmen, get paid cash, don't pay tax, don't pay stamp, that's against the law. 223. Says Andy, people working on construction sites are employed as self-employed when not resulting in the abuse of non-payment of NI. The rules that people should know: if you're employed or self-employed. If you're unsure whether you're employed or self-employed, do you have the final say on how your business is run? Do you risk your own money in the business? Are you responsible for meeting the losses as well as taking the profits? Are you free to hire other people on your terms to complete the work you've taken on? Do you pay them out of your own pocket? Do you provide the major items of equipment you need to do your job, not just smaller tools, which many employees will provide for themselves? If you answer yes to these statements, you are usually self-employed. If you have to work a set number of hours at a premises decided by somebody else, earning wages determined by somebody else, you're probably an employee. And it's your employer's responsibility to deduct ITIP and national insurance. We live in straitened times, don't we? Times are tough. And it seems that corners could be being cut. I'm pleased to hear the government's doing something useful. Due to the lack of flights at the airport, we're now cutting our global emissions. Well done. Dealing with the real problems, but more by luck than design, says Paul. EasyJet are the best thing that ever happened to the Isle of Man, says Paul. Our government should subsidise EasyJet to give us a good service instead of the crazy idea of owning our own airline. I don't think that's really on the table, but anyway, they're very competitive with their price structure and they've given great service to the Isle of Man for many years. Let's hope they don't pull out of the Isle of Man, as prices will then go up. I don't think EasyJet is subvented. Certainly Loganair is subvented. They do get some money, some subsidy from the government. At least we wouldn't have to build an airport. Can you imagine? Robert says, can you imagine how much any airport that we built would cost? Please, says NT, please don't allow the government loose on an airline, 109, if they can make this much of a mess of the basic public services. Imagine the money they would lose in the airline business. Let's get to the lines now. Mary's on now. Hi, Mary.
Hello. Hello, Andy.
Yeah, hi. What's on your mind, Mary?
This is just a little anecdote from years ago about Manx Airlines.
Yeah.
In the late 70s. We were on holiday here, decided to take a Manx cat back home with us. It was arranged for Dolly Tier to come and meet us at the airport with the cat in a basket. It was a small plane going to Bristol. Everyone else had got on. We were still waiting. At the last moment, she came bustling in with this cardboard box tied up with string, and off we went to Bristol. Halfway across, the tannoy came on and said, "Is there anyone travelling with a cat? Please make yourself known." So my husband very sheepishly put his hand up, and they said, "Well, we thought you might like to know that your cat is now residing on the co-pilot's lap."
Only Manx Airlines.
Only Manx Airlines would that happen, wouldn't it?
Oh, my word. Mary, that's a great story. Thanks for that.
Okay. Bye.
All right, 22 minutes past 12 on the co-pilot's lap. Since the government passed the running of the trade card system to a self-governing body, trade cards have been almost non-existent. All are years out of date, says Alan. You see, the general public doesn't know this. We don't know this. If you're in the industry, you will know. We need to check the legality of workers, says WhatsApper 110. Who's doing this? Who's the body responsible for checking the legality? The best service we ever had was Manx Airlines. I'll let you into a secret, though. When I started doing Mannin Line, oh, Lord, is it really 28 years ago? More? It was years ago. And I joined in October 1998 to do Mannin Line. The biggest topic was the Ben McCree. Everybody hated, do you remember? Hated the Ben McCree with a passion. The King Orry was the best thing ever. And everybody couldn't bear it. It was too big, it was too light, you were sick if you were at the top, and then we got to love the Ben McCree. At the same time, Manx Airlines always got a kicking. It was too expensive. That was the big thing. It was always too expensive, and they brought in lots of deals, Farecracker and this, that and the other. And there's an old saying, isn't there? You simply don't know what you've got till it's gone. Manx Airlines was our own airline. Apart from your chest swelling with pride whenever you saw that little Manx Airlines plane at Heathrow or at Gatwick or at Manchester or at Liverpool or at Belfast or at Birmingham. It was ours, and you probably knew the pilot, and you probably knew the customer service people on board. But it's gone, and there's really no hope of it ever coming back. Oh, there's been a lot of discussion, says Graham, on renewable energy, some informed, some not. I've long pointed out the problems with wind farms and solar panels, but there are some. But here are two more legal and technical observations. Wind farms kill protected bird species. Gulls, hen harriers, puffins, migrating birds in substantial numbers, which technically makes them illegal. It's illegal to kill these birds. The operators around us have had to seek and were given special dispensation by the UK government. The decline in the seagull population described by the MSPCA and the MWT, Manx Wildlife Trust, as due to reduced food availability, in fact, coincides directly with the development of wind farms. Offshore, the crushed bodies sink. Onshore, they're collected in the very early hours before the dog walkers get out. And also, wind turbines create VLF, very low frequency vibration, between 1 and 5 hertz, which people can't hear, but you do feel it, causing sickness and disorientation. This is Graham. You can't live near a wind farm. Indeed, most of our island will become uninhabitable. The government's endeavoured to measure this at Erie Stane to get a base level, but the equipment used only measured the audible spectrum, that's 20 to 20,000 hertz, and missed the point entirely, 1 to 5 hertz. That's a vibration. Is it ignorance? Was it deliberate? They also endeavoured to measure the wind velocity and direction changes which reduce the turbine efficiency when they have to follow rapidly changing wind directions. Again, they only used one detector, which was just moved around. The true picture can only be measured by using at least 3 spaced detectors simultaneously to get a picture of how rapidly the wind changes speed and direction. I've said it many times. The answer is right beneath our feet. Geothermal energy. The resistance to this source and the misinformation about its viability is a cause of concern to me. I'm happy to discuss this and other points of a more sensitive nature. Thank you, Graham. Good to hear from you. And I'm sure we'll chat soon. So the story about EasyJet pulling out. EasyJet say it's a commercial decision. So what does the minister have to say? This is Michelle Haywood, MHK.
They only have a certain number of planes and pilots and time to fly them. And so the consequence of that is that they have reduced a number of the short hop routes. So the literally take off and land routes from Liverpool and Manchester to the island are some of the casualties of that. So this is no reflection on the airport or how it's managed or how it's run. It is a business decision by EasyJet. I do know that the DfE is actively in discussions with other airlines about expanding routes elsewhere, and that will continue to be an ongoing theme. So we're not deaf to the idea that we need to be connected. We know that that's true, but in this case this was a business decision by EasyJet and it is their decision to take. It's just unfortunate the Isle of Man loses out slightly on that. Nobody likes change and nobody likes feeling like we're losing something. However, services will change and they will evolve and new services will come in to fill some of those gaps. So I think it is just one of those parts of one of those things of being here and running a small regional airline with an open skies policy is that we're beholden to what the companies want to do.
And I know you mentioned that the DfE is in talks with other airlines at the moment. How hopeful are you that we could possibly see the introduction of new airlines maybe by the summer? I'm
not part of those talks. I know they're ongoing, so and I'm very grateful to colleagues in DfE that are actively pursuing new routes. The Strategic Air Services policy that was recently passed is helping support us developing and guaranteeing connectivity, particularly to the northwest and to London, because we know that for different reasons those routes are there. We know we have challenges sometimes with the ground staff and with the equipment that they use. We know we have challenges over air traffic control, and we are actively recruiting and training up more air traffic controllers. So we are alive to all of these, and I think the airline industry is still reeling from COVID. During COVID, airlines pretty much sacked most of their staff, and so people left the industry, and it is taking some time to recover from that.
What do we do about this? Do we reconcile ourselves to the fact that we're basically at the beck and call of airlines now? It's a commercial decision. It's been said in the past, we can't recruit airlines. Airlines look at whether or not it's going to be viable flying to the Isle of Man, and they decide to land here, and the airport facilitates that. The trouble is, our air traffic control record has not been blemish-free, and that will be noted in the industry. The industry is relatively small, the aviation industry, and most people know each other, or they know somebody who knows somebody. And getting a reputation for not having air traffic controllers on duty will become the talk of the industry. This is the consequence. Regarding non-skilled and non-registered tradespeople, it's in government legislation that on any government-funded works, only skilled craftsmen in possession of a current skills card can be used and must be directly employed unless they're the named contractor. Contractors who illegally subcontract the work out to avoid NI, says 223. You said that Manx Airlines was ours. It wasn't Manx in anything but name, says Dewan on 715. Well, it was based at Isle of Man Airport, at Ballasalla, in Maloo in the Isle of Man. It had Manx Airlines written on the side. It had a very big engineering team based at Ronaldsway Airport, 715. I don't quite know how you can say it wasn't Manx. What was it? How can we have the best part of £1 million in rent arrears that we can't we even collect the rent? Did you see that story? It was in the news at 12 o'clock. £878,000. These are the public housing rent arrears. £878,491, 19p. 2.5% of the annual rental income. How has it happened? Well, it's happened.
At the first store, the bowls were too small. No good for my porridge, Goldilocks thought. At the second store, the chairs were too hard and uncomfortable. But at the third store, the beds were so comfy. That's because she was in Millie Chaps of Ramsey, where everything is just perfect. Right now, find bargains across every department at the Millie Chaps winter sale, including carpets, flooring, sofas and dining. Plus amazing stressless bedroom furniture and accessories. Don't miss the Millie Chaps winter sale. Good choice, Goldilocks.
Spectrum Windows. If your house needs a new look and your windows letting rain, keep those cold breezes out and make it look like new again. Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows. Quality through and through. Great work guaranteed to you. Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows. Spectrum Windows.
I find it hard to get a doctor's blood test appointment to fit around work.
With my mobility issues, it's difficult to get to a hospital for a blood test.
If you find it inconvenient to go for a blood test, or you need one fast, then contact Top Care Nursing, where a nurse will do your blood test at home or in your workplace. Proud to be an Isle of Man Award for Excellence winner. Just call 628 919 for a free consultation, or book online at topcarenursing.im.
A late win saw FC Isle of Man claim victory on their travels last weekend. Can they find that taste of success again this weekend, this time back on home territory? This Saturday, the Ravens return to the bowl with Barnoldswick Town, the latest side, looking to claim a result on Manx shores. Join me, Rob Pritchard and Tony Mepham for FC Isle of Man versus Barnoldswick Town, kicking off this Saturday at 6 p.m. Manx Radio will be bringing you full live match commentary on our DAB and AM 1368 channels. Live coverage of FC Isle of Man on Manx Radio is supported by Selton, investing in our community.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Oh, Faster Mike, good afternoon. We're on till 1 today. Any thoughts? Just a quick note, which is regarding the gentleman who called up a few days ago and said he had this big problem with Isle of Man Bank that he couldn't get registered, couldn't get sorted out. The Financial Services Ombudsman Scheme, any complaints about Isle of Man Bank or any other bank, the Financial Services Ombudsman Scheme, free and independent service. Just a quick word, by the way. My friend Daisy. Hi, Daisy. Thanks for your message. Completely understand. And call anytime, Daisy. We really enjoy hearing from you. I want to go to Howard with us now. Hi, Howard.
Hello, Andy. Just listen to you saying about the social house and the £1 million that's unpaid.
Yeah.
If you remember correctly, a couple of weeks ago, we had one of the town councillors saying that people who are not paid their rent will not be evicted. So if you follow the word through, this time next year, you can reckon that will be £1.5 million. You know, it's putting the word out there that if you don't pay up, you're quite happy. Just stay where you are.
But I mean, where's this going to end up, Howard?
Well, the corporation, the council here now, are doing plans for £1.5 million promenade. So they've, I don't know, was this the town council or was it all government as well for the £1 million rent?
I think it's public sector housing in total. So it's Douglas Council, which is the island's largest provider. Douglas Council anticipates £267,000. Yeah. But
as I say, I think it was Devon Watson, who was one of them anyway, said that don't worry about it, more or less. If you're behind in your rent, you're in arrears, we're not going to evict you. Well, they can't evict you without a court order anyway. It would have to go through the due process, otherwise they become dictatorial. But that aside, you're talking there about Manx Airlines. They were furious. I was thinking about it last night, how the Manx Airlines, when they started the fare cracker, it was £18, I think it was single. And somebody on a programme like this, on Manx Radio, said, well, what happens if all the seats are full? and the managers or the hierarchy in Manx Airlines said, well, we'll put another aircraft on. They were on what we termed as sheds. They were the 360s.
Yeah.
And they said, we'll put another aircraft on, which they did. And people were always decrying and running them down and all this, that and the other. Eventually, Manx Airlines sold up and disappeared into the ether.
But, I mean, is it true that the government was offered the golden share in Manx Airlines?
They probably were. They used to have a golden share in the steam packet. Okay, they wholly own it now, but they had a golden share in the steam packet and sold that when Jim Sherwood came in and purchased bit by bit, whittled away at the shareholders, and finally took it over. But this is where you say, be careful what you wish for, because, as I've just said to Chris, Jersey and Guernsey had a contract with the shipping company to go from the UK, Jersey, Guernsey, round their routes that they have down there, and that contract finished not very long ago, so they put it out to tender. And Guernsey went for one company and Jersey went for the other. So they now have two shipping companies down there, and they seem to have a bit of a controversy, and I think they ruined the day that they actually split the system, because they're saying that they're not going to get the same service, etc. So just be glad that the Isle of Man government, the people of the Isle of Man, now own the steam packet. And as long as they stay completely at arm's length, not interfere like they're thinking about, the steam packet, it might not be everybody's favourite, but it gets there and back and carries the freight on a regular basis. So Guernsey and Jersey is a lesson, that famous saying, a lesson to be learned for the Isle of Man government. Don't interfere with the shipping. Own it, but let them run it as a private enterprise. And if the profits are coming in, it's coming back to the government and the people of the island.
Okay, all right. Appreciate that, Howard. Thanks for calling today.
Take care. Bye now.
Good to hear from you. Remember, the budget is on Friday 21st of February, and shortly after that, the following Wednesday, Dr. Allinson's going to be on Mannin Line. So the budget will be on Friday the 21st of February, and Wednesday afterwards, Dr. Allinson will be on Mannin Line. So we'll see where we are. But different times, isn't it? Manx Airlines. Julian's on now. Hi, Julian.
Hi Andy, how's it going?
Very well, thanks. I'm just remembering those delicious Manx Airlines Triskelion chocolates you used to get.
Yeah, I seem to remember I've seen those for sale at Davison's in Peel, I think.
I think they made them for them. It's nice. It's just like the old days, though. But they used to be, when you flew on the 146, the Friday night 146 to Heathrow. I do remember. I think you got a free drink on the way there.
Oh, I remember it well, yeah. A nice cup of coffee and biting into that dark chocolate mint. Oh, yes, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Well, I mean, but it is true. People used to slag Manx Airlines off at the time. Everybody had a go at Manx Airlines.
Well, that's it. And, you know, did somebody you said before say that it's a crazy idea to have our own airline again? I'm just looking at Aurigny. Just looking at the departure boards this morning, so we've got 11 flights going out. Guernsey's got 17, which is 54% more flights than we've got.
Where are they going to?
They're going to London, Southampton, over to France. They're going to their neighbour Jersey. I think they're going up to Newcastle and all sorts of places. I can bring that up, actually, while we're talking. What I noticed, though, is BBC reported Aurigny in profit for second year. And over those 2 years, they made 9 million profit. So anybody that says that they're losing money, if you remember a while ago, I mentioned to you that ATR, the manufacturer of the aircraft like we have with those Logan Air turboprops, they offer a package called Clear Vision, which is it's an enhanced vision system. They refer to this type of thing as EVS, multispectral superior visual solution augmented with real-time synthetic information. And you have a little hat that you put on with a visor called Sky Lens, and it combines on the nose of the aircraft high-definition visual, near-infrared and long-wave infrared fog-penetrating cameras. You know, recently they've avoided 60 fog-related cancellations by having that.
Wow.
So 60. So basically they've got a 50% reduction in fog cancellations merely having that synthetic visual fog-penetrating camera system on the nose of the aircraft to a head-up display on the pilot's little hat there. And I noticed another interesting, if you just take it, Guernsey is 62 square kilometres. We're 574 square kilometres. And they got 54% more flights. And they're it varies, but they're making somewhere between 6 million and 3 and 6 million pounds a year profit from this now. So if we're talking about naysayers, why aren't we looking into this?
But, you surely wouldn't expect the government to start their own airline. So we'd be talking about an entrepreneur coming in on behalf of the government to run it.
Well, you see, sometimes I think the government's getting in the way of a lot of the potential for people to actually come in here and do something like that. Maybe they should, if they're going to do a delegation, why don't they go down to Guernsey and talk to Aurigny and ask them how they're doing it?
Well, I'm sure, because we had the chief exec of Aurigny on Mannin Line, I think. Was it before COVID or after? COVID's a bit of a haze. But he was on, and I seem to remember, I'm sure that the government has spoken to Aurigny in the past about doing stuff. I think it was shortly after that we got Loganair.
Yeah, that's right. And, it is interesting that, a tiny little island, and, not just there, but Jersey. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but, for example, there's all this talk about our VAT and the difference between us and the lack of it down there with their GST. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but is it Manx Telecom and Isle of Man Bank now, when you call in, it all gets routed down there?
We don't quite know what's happening to Manx Telecom, apart from the fact that everybody's saying they got hacked last week. We don't quite know whether Manx Telecom is going to be bought by Jersey Telecom or has been bought by Jersey Telecom.
Yeah, I know, but it's just interesting that if they we can't do airlines and we shouldn't have that. Well, Jersey and Guernsey seems to be soaking it up. By the way, I've just had a little look. So every flight was on time out of Guernsey. So you've got 6:55 Southampton, 7 o'clock Gatwick, 7:25 Alderney, 8:20 Jersey, 8:55 Alderney, 9:35 Gatwick, 10:20 Gatwick, 10:50 Birmingham, 12:45 Manchester, 13:10 Alderney, 13:35 Bristol, 2:50 Gatwick, 4:45 Jersey, 5:20 Gatwick, another Alderney, 6:10 Gatwick, Southampton, 6:20. Yeah. So, everything's showing on time. And I looked at yesterday and everything went on time. But if they've just got ordering up their ATRs with that Clear Vision enhanced visual system, and they've avoided 60 fog cancellations in recent times, and they're making millions.
Yeah, you're quite right. I've just checked their balance sheet. 4.2 million profit. In 2022. We don't subsequently know how much they've been making, but they have been. But I remember the chief exec coming on Mannin Line, and he said the main reason was it was to get people from Alderney to Guernsey, because that's apparently that sea is very choppy between Alderney and Guernsey. That was one of the main reasons, and it was just to connect. And obviously Aurigny means Alderney in Gerrier, so it was made to connect the three islands, and of course they went on from there. Now it's been nationalised, obviously. In 2003 it was nationalised by the states of Guernsey, and it operates freight services as well.
Yeah. By the way, the BBC says they made 3 million profit in 2023.
Right.
I think they're just finalising their year for 2024, but it's looking profitable again from what I can see here. So somebody might have the figure available, but from what I can see, they were on course. They've improved all kinds of metrics to do with, the reliability by 56%. There's all kinds of metrics here where they've just improved all kinds of stuff across the whole, they've really looked at it carefully. I think.
The thing is, when we had Manx Airlines, we had hundreds of people employed in the building at Ronalds Way, but also the engineering, the pilots, the cabin crew, they were all employed here. So we had basically our own little cottage aviation industry. And it's gone. And those people just disperse. It's a very transferable skill being a pilot and being able to work in the aviation industry. So we've gone. They've absolutely gone. Now, how on earth we could get them back? Maybe this is for Department of Enterprise to look into. Maybe they'd have a committee, a report, a recommendation, a consultation.
Yeah, they're just saying here on the GuernseyPress.com, passenger losses were reduced from £17 a person in 2019 to £1.06 in 2022. Right. Aircraft productivity increased by 36%, staff proactivity by 6%, fuel consumption reduced by 10%, the equivalent of 1.4 million litres, directly attributable to not holding in fog. So, the idea that you wouldn't spend a bit of money on that, it seems to be saving quite a bit of money, that ClearVision system.
OK, all right. Thanks, Julian.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers.
13 minutes before 1. It would be nice to know whether air traffic control delays happen elsewhere, or is it just us, or whether everybody else is having a problem. Obviously, we have a lack of air traffic controllers. We don't know the strategy for hiring more. We simply don't know. We just know we haven't got enough, and they haven't had enough for ages. David's on now. Hi, David.
Hi, Danny. Last Friday, we had a little trip down to the airport to have a little skeet, a Manx skeet. So I just wonder what the airport plan is for 2025. And here's my synopsis of the visit. Coming towards the roundabout, looking at the tower there, you go left towards where the factories used to be, De Beers and all that, the diamond people and stuff like that. But round the corner, just round the corner to the back of the airport, they never trespass before anybody comes on. It's all for people to see. You need to look around the back of the airports all the time. There was an old plane. It looks like one of the hangars had been demolished, and it's a plane. It's like an ATP stood there. Looks in poor condition. So I just wondered what is happening with that. The other thing was too, there was a number of trucks, tugs, and do you remember that one the other day where they had a flat tyre? You would have thought there was more than one tug to push a plane round about, wouldn't you? But they're all on English plates, and I'm just wondering what are they doing with them? I wouldn't give them scrap.
It just sounds it sounds pathetic, doesn't it, to say it's got a flat tyre, as though we can't do anything about a flat tyre. It's an airport.
Maybe you need a bicycle pump. That's the way I'd look at it. But you go round, the best bit is you go through past the main entrance there and wave to the... Now they're going to be warranted police officers, aren't they, in the future?
Yeah.
So we'll have to be careful. But the other thing, too, is you come round the corner and there's the jet facility. Great, looking smart, a lot of planes there. So why aren't we putting something together to say, if you've got a plane and you want to park it in the Isle of Man and have reasonable rates, let's do something.
OK. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks, David.
Right.
Cheers now. 11 minutes to 1.
Employers, having trouble with staff and need reliable advice? Employees, are you treated fairly in the workplace, or do you have a grievance?
The workplace can be problematic on both sides. For any work-related legal issue, contact the employment law experts, Man Benham. They advise employers and staff on all work-related problems with sound professional advice and a transparent fee policy. To arrange your free consultation at Man Benham, call today on 639 350.
Man Benham, here for you.
Bright headlights on the road can hold you back. Holmes & Davidson Opticians present an advanced solution. Our cutting-edge road lens coating. Significantly reducing glare, clarity is enhanced, driving confidence elevated. Experience safer and more confident vision. Trust Holmes & Davidson Opticians to keep you safer on the roads. Book your consultation today at holmesanddavidsonopticians.co.uk or call 676 230.
Ellen Vannin Fuels make it so easy to keep topped up with home heating oil this winter with our smart tank monitoring system, easy payment plans, and being able to manage your account online. Call us on 844 000. Stay warm this winter with Ellen Vannin Fuels.
Tax and accounts feel like a grey cloud above your head. Step into the sunshine with Crow Isle of Man. Our friendly team of chartered accountants take time to listen to your business needs and work with you to prepare for the future. From tax and accounts to audit and payroll, our track record of quality and client satisfaction speaks for itself. Visit crow.im or call 627 335. Crow Isle of Man. Smart decisions, lasting value.
Valentine's Day is almost upon us, and here on Manx Radio, we're giving you the chance to be a big romantic winner. We've teamed up with Hotel Halvard in Douglas to give one lucky listener the chance to win a luxury overnight stay for two with dinner and breakfast included. All you have to do is listen out on Valentine's Day, which is this coming Friday, for Cupid's quiz question. As soon as you hear it, head to manxradio.com and submit your answer. Don't miss your chance to win this Valentine's Day with Hotel Halvard and your nation station, Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
And Bonzo as well. Hi, Bonzo.
Hello, yes. Hearing Julian and others talk about airlines, I'm always reminded of Freddie Laker's joke about how do you make 10 million in the airline business.
How do you make 10 million in the airline business?
Start with 100 million.
Okay, right.
And this is the thing with Origny. I mean, Origny is making money now, but I think it had quite a considerable period where it was not making any money and it was losing fairly large amounts of money. So I think to represent it perhaps as, oh yeah, everything's marvellous and sunny, it's starting to make some of the money back that it lost hand over fist.
Yeah, I think they kind of regard those losses, or if I remember, the chief exec was on Mannin Line, he said they regarded, it was about 7 million a year they budgeted on losing. It was worth it for the connectivity that having your own airline represented.
Well, there you are. You see, we go back to the Manx Airlines argument. Yes, there are more flights going in and out of Jersey and Guernsey. That's because, A, they have control with Origny, but also the aircraft are smaller, so that they can operate on these routes more economically. Nowadays, of course, we have EasyJet coming in with larger aircraft, but in a very much a bus stop way, and there's no base there. Whereas, of course, in Channel Islands, the airline is based there. So at the end of the day, aeroplanes come back. So there are aeroplanes to have to go on in the morning, rather than wondering if an aeroplane is going to turn up.
Right.
So. No, that's not quite. Well, Julian also mentions this forward-looking infrared system.
Yes.
On the ATRs. Now, I'm not quite sure whether that can only be used on airports that have higher classifications for instrumentation and lighting, because of the fact that if you look at Jersey and Guernsey, there's one huge thing that stands out about the approaches to it, and that there aren't any great big hills in the way. So I think it may be a question of the fact that the airport itself has to be rated to accommodate these devices, and we are not. Now, whether we could be, or whether we would be, in the present state again, I don't know. That would have to be investigated.
Right.
But I don't really see much hope of that. Also, with the towing tugs.
Yes.
Are they actually operated by the airport, or are they operated by Menzies?
Oh, the handling operators. I don't know. It depends who employs the people who manhandle the luggage, because they're the ones who drive them around. Maybe it is Menzies.
Right. Well, that would be Menzies then, and it would explain, I suppose, why they have English plates.
Right.
So, yes, I think those are the people that Airport and DOI need to shout at.
Okay. All right, Bonzo, appreciate it. Thanks for calling today.
Okay then, cheers, bye.
Good to hear from you. I want to try and get Angela. Hi, Angela.
Oh, hi there, Andy.
We've got a minute. What's your tale?
Right, okay. Went on an EasyJet flight recently, 10:30 in the morning. It arrived on time. We were going off to Gatwick. We boarded on time. Then we told there's going to be a half-hour delay because the airport was closed, so they couldn't refuel the plane, which is very strange. We don't know why the airport was closed, maybe ATC on coffee break, but why couldn't they refuel the plane? So we were half an hour late leaving.
And this obviously impacted.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's, going on somewhere else and everything, but it's the thing is, why can't they refuel the plane, and why was the airport closed? And the EasyJet flight came in on time. We all boarded. We were all ready to leave. Then we couldn't because we couldn't refuel.
What was the atmosphere like?
Well, quiet, quite shocked. Another lady said, "Oh well, the last time I was here, everybody went on a coffee break."
Okay. Appreciate it, Angela. Thanks for calling today. Good to hear from you. Thanks. Well, I wonder what's going to happen. So there'll be fewer EasyJet flights this summer. Apparently TT isn't affected, so it's okay. Michelle Hayward did say that they're in talks with other operators, so who knows how it's going to be. Thanks to Phil, dropped a note in and just said, how much do we pay Loganair? How much subsidy do we give Loganair? And also a message from Sherry, who said, yes, it is true, the north at the top end of Strand Street is a ghost street. That's it. Back tomorrow with another open line. Thanks to Chris on the phones today.
WINT.